Good morning. I'm Sam Chandan, the Larry and Klara Silverstein Chair of the Schack Institute of Real Estate. On behalf of the faculty, staff, and students of the Institute, and my esteemed co-hosts and chairs, Adam Emmerich, Robin Panovka, and Professor Scott Robinson, welcome to the 25th Annual REIT Symposium. Our silver anniversary program was originally scheduled for this time last year, but by March it was apparent that we couldn't proceed. The immediate and overriding priority was protecting the health and well-being of the community. In announcing the postponement of last year's symposium, but without a full grasp of what the coming months would hold, we hoped things would return to normal and we would be in person this spring. While that isn't possible, today, the outlook for global health, the economy, and our industry is brightening, and we can look forward to meeting in person at the Pierre in 2022. For those of you who cannot make it in person, we'll still leverage the skills and technologies of the last year to engage a remote audience. Whether online or in person, this silver anniversary is a milestone and a reflection of industry leaders like Sam Zell's commitment to academic institutions. Adam, Robin, Scott, and the team at NYU, including Monica Estrada and the events team, and James Doolin and our program staff, have been hard at work to expand the agenda to 3 days, allowing us to address a wider range of questions and host a larger roster of industry leaders than ever before. This Thursday will be our first ever research day, which includes a half-day program focusing on REIT pricing and valuation, the emergence of REITs in China and India, and ESG, in collaboration with colleagues at NAREIT. We've also taken full advantage of the online platform to draw our largest audience ever to the symposium, with participants this week joining us from more than 12 countries. We're grateful for the sponsors of this year's program, including our lead sponsors, Blackstone, Monmouth, and Fried Frank, bronze sponsors, Goodwin and Medical Properties Trust, and our premier and supporting sponsors, Ackman Ziff, Acres Capital, Eastdil Secured, Kilroy Realty Corporation, Morgan Stanley, New Senior Investment Group, Ferguson Partners, JP Morgan Securities, and Thompson Hospitality and Chartwells. Proceeds this year have been apportioned to support the ongoing work of the REIT Center and our 3 affinity scholarship programs, firsts in real estate academia. Those include Schack's Women's Scholarship Fund, the Pride Scholarship Fund, and the HBCU and HSI scholarships. On a related note, please join us for our last 2 national spring semester programs, including the Emerging Women Leaders in Real Estate Forum on April 22nd. That forum is organized by and for early career women professionals. It's focused on network building, and it's open to all. We'll also host our 3rd annual Pride Roundtable for LGBTQ+ students and professionals. That's on May 4th. Again, it's focused on network building, and it's open to all. Before passing the screen to Adam, I'd be remiss if I did not recognize the extraordinary work of our students, faculty, staff, alumni, and partners in industry, who have found new and often extraordinary ways to collaborate over the last year in support of Schack's mission in developing the next generation of industry leaders. By graduation this May, Schack faculty and students will have hosted more than 200 events, ranging from our largest industry conferences to weekly faculty seminars to our student-initiated and led PropTech program. Total attendance at Schack events this academic year has surpassed 20,000. Student podcasts and the new student magazine, Blueprint, showcase these exceptional achievements and so many of the things that make Schack special. There's a lot more I could tell you. Instead, I'll leave things by saying it is a privilege to serve as dean of this storied institution, founded more than 50 years ago by Larry Silverstein and New York City's real estate leadership. Welcome once again to the 25th Annual REIT Symposium. Adam, over to you.
Thanks so much, Sam, for that gracious introduction. On behalf of NYU's REIT Center and my co-chair, partner, and friend, Robin Panovka, I'd like to warmly welcome all of you to today's virtual NYU Schack Institute of Real Estate's 25th Annual REIT Symposium. Those of you who have finished season 3 of The Crown will know that this makes it our silver jubilee, and we're very proud and happy to have made it to this milestone and to have you with us today to celebrate and reflect together. I remember 25 years ago when Robin and I worked for the first time with NYU to breathe life into the symposium. It was a different world back then. Netflix hadn't yet been founded, and if you wanted to binge watch something, Blockbuster, with its big physical real estate footprint, was your best bet. We've been lucky over these past 25 years to be a part of the symposium and to have the chance to work with so many wonderful people, building relationships with deans and others at NYU, past and present, including Ken Patton, James Stuckey, Rosemary Scanlon, and now Sam Chandan, along with the incredible team at NYU, has been a joy for Robin and me, and we look forward to the next 25 years and the changes that they will bring. Before I get started, I want to thank the people without whose superhuman effort this year's fabulous virtual conference wouldn't be taking place. A huge thank you is due from all of us to Dean Sam Chandan, who was so kind as to preside over today's session and to introduce us. We're very lucky to benefit from his leadership at NYU and very proud for our REIT M&A conference to be a part of the Institute. Robin and I are so grateful for the opportunity to be here virtually with you this year after a year of such great turbulence and struggle for so many here in New York and around the country and the world. And of course, special thanks to everyone on the team from NYU who have done such a truly fabulous job organizing this event, and to the indefatigable and extraordinary Karen Gabbard, without whom none of this would have come together. Obviously, we're not all here together this year. I know we can imagine the hustle and bustle of being together at the Pierre with symposium attendees packing the room, networking, having the chance to have sidebars, making new connections, and all of the great things that happen when we're together physically. So we're looking forward to returning to that in years to come, and we're very confident that we will do so. This symposium has always touched on topics of national and global import. Nevertheless, we've always been inextricably linked through NYU and our own homes and offices in New York with the city of New York, and it has had a very special place, not only in this symposium, but in the real estate world. Looking back, it's easy to see how lucky we were to be able to come together, laugh, joke, and argue with one another around topics big and small. And I know we'll be back there together again in the years to come. I also want to take a moment to thank and appreciate all those who kept New York City running, not only our healthcare workers, but those like Dean Chandan and others at NYU who've kept our great institutions of inquiry and learning humming along during this difficult pandemic year. So, as mentioned, Robin and I have been convening this gathering for actually a quarter century. In fact, as you'll see here on this slide, our graphics in the early days were cutting edge for their time, and our attendance was on the rise. We had a meteoric beginning to the symposium starting in 1996. That trend has continued, and while I've talked about the limitations of gathering virtually, we have blown off the doors this year with our virtual attendance. Repeat guests will recall that we often get the ball rolling by making predictions on the REIT industry. And Robin loves to remind us of JP Morgan's famous disclaimer: if you're going to make predictions, make a lot of them and make them often. So despite the trepidation of putting these on tape, I thought it would only be fair to make some predictions on the REIT industry for the coming year. A word of caution from the start: our predictions were and are based entirely on what we're seeing at Wachtell Lipton and are meant mostly to set the stage for discussion and debate today. The theme of our symposium this year is REIT leadership for a post-COVID world. For REITs, as for so many other sectors, 2020 was a tale of two cities, of boom and bust, from strength in a few sectors to silent streets, offices, shops, theaters, and airports, and huge market dislocations from which the world continues to slowly emerge. Many REITs are well positioned for strong recovery or even going gangbusters already. But at the same time, REITs have learned important lessons from the seismic shifts of 2020, some of which may require rethinking strategic plans and business models. I'll focus my remarks on some observations that I hope will be useful to present and future CEOs, bankers, financiers, investors, operators, and other industry professionals here today. So, prediction one, work from home or some version of it is here to stay, and it will have ripple effects through large and small throughout the real estate world. As we all know, many office buildings around the country and the world were shuttered, entire workforces sent home to work remotely on virtually no notice. At some point, there will be a return to the office, even here in Manhattan, but remote working, at least in some fashion, is here to stay for many businesses, if not all businesses. We expect the shift to ripple through many aspects of the REIT industry. While some of us have focused on mega cities like New York and San Francisco versus smaller hubs like Nashville and Austin, we think that within cities, this shift will affect how we all work. Technology has now been shown to make work possible from home or any remote location, and the dispersed workforce will expect their neighborhoods to have all of the accoutrements of both a residential and an office neighborhood, lunch spots, et cetera, all within easy reach. Observation two, ESG is at an inflection point. The events of the past year have focused all of us, mainstream investors and special interest groups alike, on the importance of ESG, sustainability, and corporate purpose. We expect institutional managers and activists alike to push REITs to make ESG-related matters part of their long-range strategic planning. We expect many REITs to spend much more time making commitments to ESG, sustainable energy, and other similar matters, and to make these matters important parts of their public disclosure. Observation three, pent-up demand from a lost year for some will come bursting out. For much of 2020, both those REITs in turmoil and those less affected seemed to take a pause on M&A and transformative transactions. We saw the $9 billion Simon Taubman transaction close after litigation in 2020, and we saw the Prologis Liberty deal completed pre-pandemic. But in many respects, people were waiting to see how things shook out. I know just from Robin's and my calendars and meetings that executives are dusting off playbooks and deal blueprints and are taking a fresh look at opportunities that might have been scuttled by the pandemic. We expect 2021 will be a year of the REIT mega deal as some of the stronger players use their scale and heft to grow even larger. Observation four, the world of REITs will continue to expand and enjoy a larger and more global footprint per the detailed and specific predictions here on our annual comparative slide. I think you'll note that we've been pretty bullish, but if you look at our previous prediction record in this regard, the bullishness has been played out. And certainly if you look back to the 1995 statistics, you'll see an amazing transformation in the REIT industry from a peanut to a behemoth. And we're expecting that to continue in the years to come.